Today we're going to look at area again, and we're going to use the U.S. states with their dimensions in square miles and compute some area. Our target today, I can determine the size of a state by calculating the area using given dimensions, and we're going to use square miles as our unit. Let's look at Washington State first. This is a state we're most familiar with, and let's look at the dimensions. The dimensions are the following, and I just researched this on Google, and I found that the length right here, we're going this way, is 240 miles, and the width this way is 360 miles. Now those are huge numbers, right? But when we look at that, we're going to see that 24 times 36 multiplied by 100 is the same equation as we had here. And so we look at this problem, 36 times 24 is a double-digit multiplication problem. And those are ones we've done before. I'd like you to pause the video and try to solve it. But I want you to estimate the answer for 36 times 24 first. So you might be looking at 40 times 20 as an estimate of 800. Just remember that you're also going to multiply that 800 by 100. And so it's really going to be closer to 80,000. 800 has two zeros, 100 has two zeros, 80,000. So let's look at the actual number by multiplying. Remember that 6 times 4 is multiplied first for an answer of 24. The product 24 has 4 ones and 2 tens up here. Then we're going to go this way and multiply 4 times 3, but remember we're actually multiplying 4 times 30 because it's going in the tens place right here. So 4 times 3 is 12 plus 2 is 14. Remember that's really the answer, 144. Okay, there we're done with this ones column. Now we're going to multiply everything by the tens. So 20 times 6 is going to be 120. Now the 1 goes up here, and the 20 goes up down here. So 6 times 2 is 12. So 6 times 20 is 120. 20 with the hundreds up here, and here's our last part. And 20 times 30, or 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Let's add up those products to get the answer for 36 times 24. Remember, we should be close to 800. Let's see how we did. 4 plus 0 is 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. And 1 plus 7 is 8. Sorry I didn't line mine up. Hopefully you did a better job than me on that. So 864 is close to 800, so we know we're accurate. If you wanted to make sure you were accurate, you might solve it a different way by dividing 864 by 24. Try that bonus. I would love to see if any of you try that and got the same answer of 36. All right, let's look at something very closely. So the area that we computed was 86,400 miles, right? 864 times 100 is 86,400 miles. But when I looked up the actual area of Washington, it was only 71,362 miles. Why such a huge difference between the computed number of what we multiplied and the actual area? Think about that for a minute. Well, I have been wondering that myself. And let's think about area for a minute. If we do a rectangle around the state, we would go across this, and it would include this corner. And look at this. We would go up here, and it would include all of this. And so the computed area was a rectangle around even the parts that included water. It included all of this area that wasn't actually in Washington. So Washington is a unique shape, not an exact rectangle. So when we multiplied the dimensions of 80, and we got 86,000 miles, it's going to include area that wasn't actually in our state. The waterways are not computed in our land area of actual area. So 86,000 minus 71,000, if you were to do the subtraction, you would get a difference of 15,000 square miles. And so that would equate for all this missing area right here. Let's look at a different state. Let's look at the area of Wyoming. Now, if you look at this map, this is where Wyoming is. It's in the Midwest over here. Let's look a little closer and look at the state of Wyoming. Wyoming has a bit of a mountain range, just like us. It has a small part of Yellowstone National Park, and it has a lot of flatlands. Look at all that green. Very different than Washington State. Also notice that it's surrounded by states, and it doesn't have any water next to it because it's in the interior of the United States. Let's look at the dimensions. So the length is 280 miles. And look at this. The width is 360 miles, the same as Washington. That's astonishing. Let's look at this and remember that our hint is 28 times 36 times 100 is the same as 280 times 360. So make sure you estimate that answer first. Maybe you did 40 times 30 and got a 1200. Maybe you did 35 times 30. Let's do the algorithm. Pause the video to solve it by yourself first, please. So 6 times 8 is what we're going to multiply first, and 6 times 8 is 48. Put the 8 ones down here and carry the 4 tens up here. And then we're going to go across and do 8 times 3. Remember, that's really 8 times 30. So 8 times 3 is 24, plus 4 is 28. So our first product is 288. 36 times 8 is 288. Okay, we're done with that ones for now, and we're going to multiply everything by 20 now. We're going to use this 2 over here. So 20 times 6 is 120. So we put the 20 down here and the 1 up here. We're going to kind of take away that 4. You can erase it or cross it out. I was able to cover it with the computer. And then 3 times 2, or 20 times 30, plus the 1 is 7, or 700. We're going to add these products. 8 plus 0 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10, carry that 1, and 1 plus 2 plus 7 is 10. We got the answer of 1,008. And that's close to my estimate of 1,200. How about you? Actually, 100,800 miles squared. What a cool number. 100,800 miles squared when we multiplied the length times the width. But when I researched the actual area, it was 97,818 miles. Are those numbers close? Are they closer than the state of Washington? Why is there not such a huge difference between the computed number and the actual number this time? We computed the area of 100,800 miles squared, and it wasn't very far off from the actual area. Now it's your turn. Let's look at your assignment for today. Your turn to analyze the area of a given state. You're going to choose one U.S. state. Please don't choose Washington or Wyoming, please. You can choose a perfectly rectangle state like Colorado. Kansas is pretty close. Oregon would be pretty close, North Dakota. Or you can choose a really abstract state like Minnesota. Texas would be interesting. Florida, California. You get to choose the state. You'll have to search the dimensions of the state. So you have to look up, and if you have trouble with that, please email your teacher and we can get those dimensions for you. Now, once you multiply the length times the width, compare that area with the actual square mileage. Why do you think your computed area is different than the actual square mileage? And I gave you a link to research the actual area. This website gives the total area in square miles of every U.S. state. Best of luck on your assignment. I can't wait to see the math that you come up with this week.
Mama.